Well, great to have Simon Doull joining us as we gear up for the World Test Championship in England. Simon, a very good evening to you. As I suppose the first question is, what's happening with the weather? Because the forecast looks terrible.
Yeah, morning, Brendan. It's sad to say, at 10 o'clock tonight, local time, it's been raining for about an hour and a half now, and it just does not look like letting up tomorrow or Friday. So tomorrow's still the day before, and things will be okay if it rained tomorrow. The ground drains really well, but it looks like Friday as well. We might get a couple of decent days over the weekend, and it's supposedly coming back in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So sadly, let's hope the forecasters get it wrong, mate.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because we really are up for an epic battle, aren't we? Because we've got one side in New Zealand who is up and running, and we know they're at the top of the Test rankings, and of course India, the powerhouse that they are. So, I mean, there's everything about this clash that you want in a cricket game.
Yeah, David versus Goliath, isn't it? 5 million against 1 and a bit billion. And, they're the superpower of world cricket, whether it be monetary wise and at times, well, for a lot of the last sort of 4 or 5 years playing wise as well. Star-studded side. They've had a similar preparation to what New Zealand have had going into that first Test match at Lord's. And I don't think New Zealand looked underdone at all going into that first Test. So people can say New Zealand have been here for 2 weeks. They played 2 Test matches. They've got used to conditions, but they went into that Lord's Test off the back of a week and a half here in Southampton, or 2 weeks in Southampton. And that's exactly what India are doing. The conditions have been magnificent. The training facilities are fantastic. So, modern day cricketers, I'm not sure that a huge amount of cricket prior to would have been any more beneficial. They've had some good intra-squad games, India, so they'll be ready and raring to go.
Well, let's talk about the Black Caps first of all, Simon, and with how they've progressed through this England Test series. I mean, a fantastic victory and almost what could have been out of Lords as well. So the team is in form. There's so much depth through the squad. So, look, things are looking good heading into this match. They're in the right space.
Yeah, they certainly are. Look, I don't think, and it's hard for an ex-player to say these things, but I don't think I've ever seen a better equipped New Zealand squad or a New Zealand team. There'll be arguments around the 86 team. There'll be arguments around our team that came here in 99. There might be other eras that people think that we had a good side. But to be honest with you, the depth to be able to change 6 players, still dominate England in the second Test match, we have never been in a better position with world-class bowlers, world-class batsmen, and a very, very good backup for pretty much everyone in the side. So, the one thing we might be lacking, but I thought Ajaz did a great job at Birmingham, is a world-class, real top-quality spinner, a Nathan Lyon, an Ashwin, a Jadeja. But outside of that, we've just got every other base covered, and the side is very, very good.
Well, let's talk about the team and the makeup of it, because there's been so much talk around how do they fit 15 players into 11, because that's what they've got it down to now. So is it the case of not playing an all-rounder? I mean, I'm sure there's a big want to try and get Henry into the mix somewhere also. So how does it all play out in your mind in terms of the 11, Simon?
Look, this weather will actually play a part in it now. I think if we don't get the toss done on morning number 1 and we have to wait a day and a half, I think the weather might play a part in selection now. So I'm pretty convinced that there will be no Matt Henry, no Tom Blundell, and no Will Young. I think that's a given at the moment. And the question mark would have been around Ajaz Patel or Colin de Grandhomme. Now, if it's a 5-day game, if it's a la Birmingham, 5 days of great weather, you would have Ajaz Patel, and I think that's what New Zealand would do. Now, if we don't get started on day number 1, and let's say the toss takes place on the afternoon of day 2, maybe even the following day, if the first day and a half, 2 days are rained out, that really does bring Colin de Grandhomme right back into the mix, I think. The surface has got some grass on it. It might nibble around a little bit. It's not going to dry up with the weather that's coming along Monday, Tuesday. So maybe New Zealand look to change their mind. I know they wanted to go in with Ajaz Patel, Jameson, Southey, Bolt, and Wagner. But, weather could play a little part in changing that dynamic of the team if that rain comes in for the first couple of days.
And that's what we just spoke about, Simon, versatility and flexibility. This is historically a side that's never been able to do that. It's normally this is what we've got, and let's pray for the best. But we have the ability now to really change. And like you said, that test match, 6 changes into a side and still perform like they did. So that's going back a few years to where we are now, isn't it? To the planning they've had to be able to get this team at the top of the rankings.
Yeah, it is. And it all started, a lot of it started with Mike Hesson and Brendan McCullum as well, and just the change in the ethos and the way that New Zealand wanted to play their games. The selection process as well. I mean, at times I've been critical of it, but they have stuck with the same guys and they've given them plenty of opportunity. And that has led them to a very powerful position. And they are to be commended. This is a very, very good side. It's so highly regarded around the world. Everyone I work with just sort of they love New Zealand. They love the way we play cricket. They love Kane Williamson and Bolt and Southey and Taylor, and I mean they just seem to sort of it's everyone's second team, if I can say that. Everyone's got an NRL team and then the Warriors or the Warriors supporters. But it's just one of those things. New Zealand seem to be everyone's second team, and they are much deserved, much loved around the world, and they deserve to be here. That is for sure. It's a very, very good side.
Oh, so likeable, Simon. You should know that.
Yeah, most of them.
Let's chat about the Indian side now. And look, we could talk forever about the strengths of the Indian side and what they bring to this match starting on Friday. I want to come from a point of view of where's the chance that we can get an edge on India and believe that there might be a weakness we can expose.
The top order, I think, Rohit Sharma, it tends not to play the swinging, seaming ball that well. He's a brilliant player, probably one of the best white ball openers in the game in the last 10, 15 years. I think he's an absolute gun, genius with the white ball. I think red ball, seaming, swinging conditions, a little bit vulnerable to the one that comes back in or the one that leaves as well. So he and Shubman Gill at the top, which I think will be the opening combination, I think they are vulnerable to the moving ball. Pujara has been decent without being at his absolute best in the last 18 months as well. He is the guy that just holds that innings together generally. Another one, that moving ball, he will find it difficult. So that's where we can get into them. If we can get Kohli in early, there's certain opportunities. Rishabh Pant will play his shots. Ajinkya Rahane, I think in these sorts of conditions, probably their best player. He's an absolute gun. He fights hard. He plays the ball really late. Very rarely does he go searching for it. So to me, in the seaming swinging conditions, he's probably India's best player and will be the toughest one to get out. Rishabh Pant can take the game away from you, but again, he's going to give you opportunity. So in that top 6, if it's moving a touch, I think New Zealand are every opportunity. The one thing with India that they have, if New Zealand decide to leave de Grandhomme out, is they have depth. They have Jadeja with 2 triple hundreds at first class level, batting at 7, Ashwin with 4 test hundreds, batting at 8. So that's probably where they have it over us in the depth department, and then they'll pick their 3 seamers. I mean, I think Bumrah's guaranteed. I think Mohammad Shami is guaranteed, and then they'll toss up on the morning of the game or at the toss between Mohammad Siraj and Ishant Sharma.
All right, and you've spoken openly about on Sky Sport in England about maybe the selection of Mohammad Siraj.
Yeah. I think he's a terrific bowler, and I just think he offers them something slightly different. Ishant Sharma will come into the right-handers away from the lefties, but Siraj is a tall guy. He's got bounce, takes the ball away. I think he's a very, very fine cricketer, and he's a proper cricketer in the making from an Indian point of view, and he'll back up. He's got a lot of heart. I think he'll back up Bumrah and Mohammad Shami really well. And with those 2 spin bowling options, it just bodes well from an Indian point of view. They don't have the left armour that New Zealand have, so the footmarks will be created a little bit by Bolt and Wagner, which will bring Ashwin into the game to our right-handers as well, which could be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, what do you make of our batsmen having to play, the Indian spinners as well? I mean, that's always been a bugbear for the team, for a long time, especially in their conditions anyway. So what's your thoughts around our batsmen facing, their 2 world-class spinners?
If it's not turning, I don't see much of an issue. I think Tom Latham's a brilliant player of spin. He's probably one of our better players of spin. Part of the reason that he was moved to 5 in the one-day order was because he plays spin through the middle of those 50-over games really well. Kane, we know how good he is against spin. Devon Conway, not seen a huge amount of him against spin, but he uses quality, and so there's no issue there. Nichols likes to sweep, and he can be quite aggressive against it. BJ Watling the same, and Ross Taylor the same. If it's not turning, I can see New Zealand being a little bit more aggressive against the spin, and they have those options because it's not going to turn past the bat and spin back into you, make the LBW relevant as well. So I think if it's slightly green, India go with those two spinners. New Zealand can look to maybe be a little bit more aggressive against them.
And we spoke at the top, Simon, about the weather, and of course there is that backup of an extra day, which it's probably more than likely it's going to be needed.
Yeah, it will be needed. And what I understand, I know that some of the rules around it can seem a little bit sort of all up in the air, but from what I understand, if 10 overs are needed, we play the 10 overs on day number 6. If 90 overs are needed, we play 90 overs on day number 6. So however much time is lost can be made up on day number 6. And if it's only an hour's play, we play that hour on day 6. If it's a whole day's play, we play the whole day. So I like the concept, I like the idea, and I think it will be needed. But imagine if it comes down to day 6 and you're getting to that last session with a chance of a result either way, well then the ICC have clearly done the right thing.
Okay, Simon, before we wrap it up, I know Royal Ascot's on at the moment, so surely you've been scouring through the form to find us a winner or two.
I've been having a little look, actually. Gee, I wish you'd have talked to me last night, because I like one of Frankie Dettori's today at 22-1, which Julie got home quite nicely. So if you'd have rung me last night, if you'd have rung me last night, it would have been all right, Pops. Look, we'll start people off, so they don't have to wait too long in the first at Royal Ascot tomorrow. Now, it is drifting, but there's a horse called Lucci, Lucci. It's number 9, trained by Wesley Ward, so an American horse that's come across to Ascot in race number 1. The only thing, and I know we're all like this, and I hear you do it all the time, just be wary because it's raining overnight and it might not like the wet track. Am I allowed to say that? Yeah. But so that's the one anomaly tomorrow. It's the one thing that could trip a few up at Ascot tomorrow. If it rains a lot, which it's meant to overnight, then the track might be a little bit damp. But I've picked a horse that's drawn quite wide, over 1,000 metres, 1,010 metres. So they were coming down the outside rail today, and it seemed like it was there's a reasonable fast lane there. So if it can get wide, get to the outside rail, it might be all right.
Beautiful. All right, Simon, we'll let you go. Enjoy the week that's coming up. A big week for New Zealand cricket, that is for sure, with the World Test Championship, and also all the best with your punting in the next few days. Thanks for your time, Simon.
Cheers, Pops. Thanks, mate.